Ready? Chapter 42. End of the World. Keon looked up at the sky. Something was coming, and it was approaching fast. A strong light hit his eyes. He tried to shield himself from it with his hand. A searchlight was aimed right at him. Where was it coming from? And what was that noise? He squinted his eyes until he could finally distinguish the helicopter flying towards him. It landed close to him, and 3 men stepped out from it and walked towards him. They were all soldiers, yet they almost seemed frightened of him. They held their weapons in a firm grip. "You know why we are here, Xerxes," one of them said as all 3 took aim right at him. "Found your scapegoat, did you?" Keon said calmly as he looked at them. He could see the anger in the soldiers' faces as they one after another pulled the trigger. As the bullets penetrated his skin and tore through his flesh, he could feel himself smiling. This seemed like a fitting way to die. Keon opened his eyes. He was laying on a bed next to Aino. He seemed to have touched her in his sleep again. They had found an abandoned house to stay in. The mattress they were laying on was old and worn, but it was still an upgrade from the damp ground at the campsites. He rolled over on his side and looked out the window. It was still dark outside. For the first time in weeks, he didn't feel afraid. From the moment he had met Leah at that riverside up until yesterday, he had been in a constant survival mode. Now he finally felt free, and he knew Aino felt the same. "So that's your full name, Mia Aino Xerxes," he said quietly as he looked back at her. "I never expected her to be that powerful," Niila said as he watched the sunrise. "Yeah, we screwed this one up." His sister walked up beside him and put her arm on his shoulder. "Giving up already?" he asked her. "Of course not. She will be our field marshal," Niila answered. "She will be. We will prove ourselves to her. We are her army. One day she will see it too." "The 2 of you still don't understand that you're playing with a god." A voice was heard behind the twins. They turned around. "Lieutenant Ossian," Niila said, surprised. Ossian stared at the generals. He had been right about his creator, yet his words hadn't been taken seriously. He was always reduced to a worried lieutenant and his words downplayed. He was angry and tired of his commanding officer's attitude. This time he was going to force the generals to listen, even if he had to scream his words at them. He was not backing down. Not this time. The doctor clenched his fists and opened his mouth. "Aino is almost 200 years old. That means she carries just as many years of experience with her. She might look harmless, but it's clear that she's anything but that. She's far more intelligent than both of you seem to realize, and she is highly calculating. She was planning all of this from the start. What she did on that field was a power display. She took out more than 6,000 of us. We were mages, and she toyed with us like we were her puppets. All she needed was a push in the right direction by Keon, and she reduced us to nothing. She will do anything to protect him. Keon had done nothing but be there for Aino when she needed him. It's clear that she loves him, and you went for him. You went for the man our creator loves. You could have turned her into your enemy if you had succeeded. We were lucky to only lose our mage powers. What were you thinking? Don't you understand that your stunt could have killed us all?" Ossian was shaking with anger as he met the general's eyes. Ayla and Niila both looked at the officer in shock. They'd just been lectured by a lieutenant. What was worse was that he was right. This was all on them. "I miss Teal's berry breakfasts," Keon commented as his stomach started growling. "I'm sure we can find you something to eat," Aino said and smiled at him. They walked out into the garden at the back side of the house. Despite its overgrown state, it was apparent that the former owners had been fond of gardening. There were both plum, apple and pear trees. Keon was sure there were other plants closer to the ground as well, but it was hard to see in the high grass. He could see that one of the pear trees were an autumn one, as the pears were perfectly ripe. He picked enough of them to fill his empty stomach. They sat down at the porch of the house on some old wooden furniture. Aino, do you remember the conversation you had with Ossian? He questioned you about why you had given Ayla and Neela so much blood. I have to admit, the explanation you gave me when we first met doesn't quite add up. You must have known that giving just a drop of blood would have been enough, right? Keon felt a bit nervous as he asked her. Maybe she would be upset and feel like he was accusing her of lying. We hadn't known each other for long then. I guess I did twist the truth a bit when I told you. When I lie about my powers, it's to hide them, not because I mean any harm. I hope you understand that, she replied and looked at him. Yes, I understand that, he answered muffled as he had just taken a large bite of the pear. I did know that such a large amount wasn't needed for healing them. However, the reason I gave them more was because I was hoping for something else. In all honesty, I wasn't thinking straight. I was so angry. They were dying, and people still treated them badly, all because they were Sami. I had never done any such thing before with my blood, so I had no clue if it would change them more than just heal them. I wanted to show everyone how strong they were. The fact that it also gave them some of my powers, I'd never even thought of as a possibility. I don't remember reflecting over the toll it would take on my body either, she answered him. How exactly does your body work, though? Keon asked curiously. In short, every single cell in my body can overpower any other cell in any living being. I can control parts of your body not even you can control. That's quite the power to keep secret. You've never felt the urge to use it for bigger things? Keon asked her. She looked at him with a saddened expression. Of course I have. And I did. I guess it's time I tell you about my past, about all those memories you have seen, about how the old world really ended. The old world was in many ways a good place to live, but it was dying. Overpopulation and pollution. With my powers, I thought I had found a way to save it. I didn't want to kill anyone, so I would go for those not yet conceived. I targeted every single bearer of eggs. I thought, if I took away their ability to get pregnant, then the least I could do was to ease their pain and take away their bleeding every month. You see, when I say that every single cell in my body can overpower any other cell, by that I mean it only takes one cell. I just have to stand outside and release millions of cells from my body and feel them latch on to millions of people. It doesn't take long. A strong wind, and it's done in seconds. I steer them through the air. I never lose control over them. Aino went silent and looked over at Keon. That's what happened when we went to save Yrsa, wasn't it? That's why the guards left their posts outside the building. That's why we didn't meet anyone on the first and second floors. You were controlling all of them, and they probably had no idea what was happening, Keon asked her. Yes, I was planning to do to all of them, so that there would be no casualties. Unfortunately, the Yellow Wolves had both their windows and doors closed on the third floor, so I couldn't get through to them, she answered him. She continued her story. I traveled to the most densely populated countries first, latched on my cells to every single one of my intended targets that I could find. Then I forced their bodies to release all their eggs at once. That way their bodies would all enter menopause right away, and the ability to bear children would be gone. I only left those already pregnant and their unborn children alone. Someone would have to birth the new generation. I didn't want to eradicate humanity, just make it smaller so that our Earth could recover. In the beginning, not many acted on it, especially not when it was mainly poor countries. But as it started happening to more and more people, and the rich countries were hit as well, people were faster to react. They called it the unnamed disease at first. They had no clue what caused it, and no clue how to stop it. As the scientists desperately scrambled to find an explanation, the conspiracy theories started flying. Religious leaders claimed it was a punishment from above. Tinfoil Hatter said it was something in the water. Then it happened. They started blaming each other, country against country, as there were still places I hadn't been to. Those places were targeted. Other countries claimed that they were responsible for the disease, that it was biological warfare, and since that was the claim, other countries retaliated. Alliances were tied, and the world was dragged into another world war. The bombs fell. Millions of people died. The world descended into chaos once more. She looked into Keon's eyes with a saddened expression. But they caught on to you, didn't they? I saw a memory of yours where some soldier shot you, he said and met her eyes. They caught on to me as I had visited all the countries affected right before the outbreak, as they called it. They had no other proof beside that though, but you know, it was war. If countries could attack each other without proof, then why would one human life matter more? After they had shot me, they disappeared right away. They didn't even stay to check if I was dead or alive. I had been hiding in enemy territory, and they were risking a lot if they were caught. She answered him before she continued her story. Desperation grew, and so did the bombs. The regulation of warfare was ignored. We bombed our own world into pieces. The importance of the past was forgotten, and its possible effect on the future was ignored. All everyone thought of was the present and destroying their enemies. We bombed everything, the landmarks and historical buildings, the libraries, museums and archives. We destroyed memories. We tried to eliminate history. She paused for a second. That building I saw burn the first time I touched you when you were unconscious, was that an archive? Keon asked her. She nodded. Yes, it was. We erased our own footprints throughout times, our ancestors, our collective memories, our discoveries, our history, everything we had learned. We erased our own past. Seeing it burn made me realize how fragile our memories really are. If we don't cherish them, they might be lost forever. Aino took a deep breath. We reduced our own population by millions, but that was nothing compared to what was about to transpire. The bombs had an effect on our Earth we didn't think about. The world started to rumble beneath our feet. We had upset Mother Nature, and she was not going to be merciful. Earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, whatever natural disasters you can think of happened. Even some nuclear power plants exploded due to the rumbles of the Earth. The radiation from the places closest to the plants will live on for 20,000 years. Then, as a final act, our mother decided to bring out her own nukes. They started to erupt, one after another, every single volcano on Earth. In the cities closest to them, everyone died. The ash spread in the air all over the world. The climate changed drastically and famine followed. Those who had survived started to starve. It was only decades later everything started to return to normal. When humanity rose again, there weren't that many of us left. A population of billions had been reduced to millions. Governments had fallen. The whole concept of countries had vanished. There were no borders, no one to rule. Everyone was left to fend for themselves. It was called Year One, the year we started over and tried to rebuild what had been destroyed. The old world was dying long before the so-called end of the old world was declared to have happened. Neela and Ayla talk about having the death of more than 1,000 on their conscience. I, on the other hand, I was the one who set off the chain of events that killed billions. I was the one who ended the old world. Their deaths are all on me. Y'all asked me if I wanted to watch the world burn. I didn't, yet I set it aflame. You wanted to die when it all happened, didn't you? Keon asked her. I saw the ones I cared for die one after another. I watched on as billions died in front of my eyes. On top of everything, it was ultimately by my hand. I lost all will to live. I tried everything, but nothing worked. Everyone died around me. Yet I just stood there, unharmed in the end, she answered quietly. The expression on her face reflected nothing but sadness and regret. It wasn't your fault. You were trying to save the world. You couldn't have known those would be the consequences of your actions, Kian said to her in response. That's the thing though. When you have powers like mine, it's easy to get blind. I was much more idealistic back then. I was so sure of what was right and what was wrong. Just because I have godlike powers doesn't mean I should use them to such a degree. I interfered with the way of the world and so destroyed it in the process. Sometimes it's better to do nothing, she said, defeated. But the world was dying, Keon said back to her. Yes, I should have let it die. If humans wanted to slowly kill the earth, then so be it. Who am I to interfere? I almost killed off the entire humanity so that Earth could live. How was that a better solution? The world was a beautiful place. She looked down at the table. Keon stood up and walked over to her. He lifted her head with his hand and looked at her. The world is still a beautiful place.